We're 9 hours away from the album. What do you feel?
I don't really know if I relate to like feelings of being excited or like anxious about things. So like when people ask if I'm excited for the tour or excited for the album, I'm like, what is that? I don't really know what that means. I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I get really into the process of making stuff, and I get really into the idea of coming up with the ideas of what I'm going to make and then the execution of it. That I'm as excited as I have the capability of being when I'm in that part.
The making of.
Yeah, like insane. I'm like laughing at everything because for some reason when ideas are good, you're laughing a lot. Or at least I am. And then after that, after it's been made, like it's so exciting to like bounce the song and you're listening through the speakers, and I'm very motivated by like pride. Like I'm very motivated by like I did that, like being proud of it. And being like, holy shit, I made that thing. And so after that, it's kind of like, especially when it comes out, I think there's a moment of grief, actually. There's like, so I'm anticipating like a death in the family tonight.
Okay, so like the worst moment possible.
It's something weird about it, yeah, because it comes out and I get real quiet on socials as soon as it drops for some reason. I don't really want to see it. And I'm really, I guess I could say I'm excited to see what people are saying about it, but I don't, it's more, it doesn't feel like, I think excited means like joyous anticipation, and it really just feels like anticipation for me.
Do you have a favorite song on the album?
Yeah, it's the first one.
Really?
Yeah, I sent it to you. Did you listen to it?
I love it.
Lying, he's lying.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
That's the last song on the record.
It's my favorite song.
I wasn't sure what order you got them in.
No,
I don't know is your favorite one?
Yeah,
Amazing.
I love the storytelling aspect of it. I've always been attracted to those kind of songs.
Me too.
And Blue Moon drinker myself, because IPAs do freak me out.
Yeah, I lied a little bit. I do like IPAs, but
whole song means nothing to me now.
Yeah. But when I wrote the song, that was true. I wrote the song years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it started as a co-write with my friends Carter and Courtney. They're in this band Chapel, and it was supposed to be a song for them. And I was just trying to make them laugh with the lyrics, and it was just I write for a lot of other artists, and I like to talk like this for the first like few hours. And then at some point, they usually don't notice, but I've got my keyboard on my like lap, and sometimes I'm turned around from my computer's behind me. And usually while we're talking, like if something's funny or something's making me laugh, I'll just jot it down on a note in my computer behind me. And what that conversation spawned into is like all of these myths that we just kind of believed because we were told them one time. And that becomes like a belief, like the idea of putting your phone in rice. It's not a thing.
It's not.
It's a thing that I believed. It's a thing that we all believed was like the rice was like dehydrating the water in the phone or something. All that's happening is you're putting your phone away and not turning it on while it's wet for an extended period of time. Putting it in rice is not.
I think it attracts the water out.
It's not expediting that process.
Are
no.
you sure?
Yeah.
All right, I trust you.
This was just something that one person probably made up on a Reddit thread 13 years ago.
And it blew up.
We just went with it. By now, like 20 years ago. But yeah, no, that's not a thing. You're just putting your phone somewhere and trusting that something's happening. All that's happening is it's drying. Because if you turn it on while it's wet, you're going to break your phone.
Right.
All you have to do is wait for the electronics to dry.
So that's the whole lyric
so
of
that
touching
started
an
that we were
orange,
laughing
putting it in your...
Yes, yeah, the idea of like, like having an orange slice on your glass and you're squeezing it and you throw it in and then
But
someone
it's
goes,
dirty.
ew. Like, and then someone shaming you for not knowing something that not everyone knows is the whole song.
Right.
Because like the idea of me going like, you thought you were supposed to put your phone in rice, you moron. Like that, what a jerk. Like what a dick thing to do. And so the song's based around someone who's a little snotty, kind of know-it-all, and the answer is like, they're like, how could you not know that? And the answer is like, I don't know.
How did that song make it onto this album? Do you just go back into your old demos?
So we were writing it for them, and then all we had was kind of a first verse and chorus, and we thought it was cool, and I think I sang on the demo of it just to get it out that day. And yeah, it was just kind of this cool song that I always thought was really special, but I never knew what to do with it, or, you know, if they were going to use it, I wanted to give them time. And then, I mean, this was like 2019, and then they just never used it. Oh, and I thought, this is a really cool track. And when I was in a kind of a slump trying to figure out, trying to dig myself out of a hole of not knowing what to write about, I had this song that had a very clear message and a very clear theme that I really loved. And so I was like, I'm going to write a second verse and see if it's good and see if I can like tap back into what was funny about it. And then it clicked. And then I sent them the updated and I was like, is it cool if I just do this with the RECKS? And they were like, yeah, hell yeah. It sounds great. Yeah.
So you do a lot of writing and producing yourself. Did you do this album or did you entirely yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does it work with the other dudes in the band? Do you just send the tracks over and everyone's like, oh, I like this. Let's change this verse. This hook is great.
It used to be more like that. And sometimes the feedback is kind of, what's the word? I don't know, can be kind of micro in that level, but usually it's more macro comments of like, the bridge doesn't really feel like I don't really get the bridge. And a lot of that comes from Aaron. But the process with this record and kind of the last one too, because a lot of it just involves isolation and kind of shutting things out and a lot of self-realization, I kind of needed to just like work the parts out and work it out over months and months and months. And when you get a good idea that's going to make it on the record, it's usually 3 a.m. and it's not time to call Schmiz, our guitarist, and be like, yo, get over here and play this part. It's like, I'm just going to play it poorly until I can edit it enough to sound good.
Right.
And then it's going to sound like if Schmiz would have played it or a good guitarist played it, right? And so a lot of the record, when I'm playing on it, I'm not really playing on it like through the chorus or like front to back. I don't think I can perform any of our songs front to back, yet I've recorded on every single one of them and written every chord progression. It's not part of my process to like, maybe a couple I can play from start to finish on acoustic because they were kind of written that way. But most of the time it's like, it's piece by piece, sometimes chord by chord I'm recording at a time because I got to do this chord and then I got to move my fingers into this weird position and then I'm like getting that one in and then I'm like, okay, now I got to tune this string down because I want this. And then when Schmiz has to learn the parts live, he'll be like, dude, this makes no sense. Like there's no one can do that. And then Billy's like, Billy, our drummer, is like, I don't have 8 arms. Like the drum parts don't, there's a hi-hat, a tom, a snare, and a cymbal going at once. He's like, that's not possible. And so sometimes like the parts get, like especially the drum parts, I've taken that into account to make sure that they make sense.
Right.
So that when we play it live, people aren't like, this is missing something.
Yeah.
This is missing another drummer.
So you have the tour coming up.
Yeah.
Are you incorporating a lot of these new songs onto that tour?
Yeah, we're kind of debating playing all of them because there's only 6. It's only half of the new record. And so we're like, how often do we get to play like the whole thing of a new project?
What do you mean by it's half of? So is there a part 2 coming out?
Yeah, so this is called Inside, and the tour is called the Inside Outside Tour with a little colon in the middle, which is kind of our way of being like, oh, it's like a wink of like, there's another half to this.
Hang on, guys.
So, and I have Outside written.
Entirely?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't get that I didn't get that link yet. That's so...
Sorry, I hit your camera.
I deserved it.
I have it all written. I don't have it recorded.
Oh. So you just have demos of it? Yeah,
kind of. Some songs don't even really have, like, songs I could even send around, which is, that's new. Usually I have, like, usually the demoing process is the writing process. But in this case, some of the songs, especially Outside, I think some of the songwriting is, like, I wrote those songs before any of the songs off Inside, and I was really excited about them, but my confidence, if we can get into, like, the reason I lost all my confidence, but like my confidence was so low that like I produced all of our records and I didn't think that I was capable of doing it, but I also didn't think that I was capable of having a good compass to let someone else take the reins and produce it because I wasn't confident in my own green light, in my own yes, yeah, that's good, no, that's bad. I didn't know where I was. And so the idea of giving it up to another producer for the sake of getting the record done or getting songs recorded and putting things out in time, that would have just hurt the record. It would have been someone, and we tried that once years ago where we had someone else kind of come in and that was before I had the confidence because I hadn't developed it yet simply. And we ended up throwing away that whole EP that some other guy recorded because it just didn't have the sauce that we were going for, what was in my head, but I didn't have the confidence to be like, no, I don't think we should do that because I was young. And then at one point, but all that to say, it's funny actually, around that time, this is a bit tangenty, but around that time, in 2018, when we decided to, it was our Panic Vertigo EP, and we decided to, I had done with my buddy Andrew our first 3 songs, which had Favorite Liar on it, which was like a big hit for us at the time, and it was like an all radio thing, like
Massive song.
big song for us, and it was our first song, and it was like, oh, this is how it's gonna go. No, and following that up, it was like, okay, cool, and we got like that song got assigned and all these things, and it was like, cool, now it's time to go to a real producer. It basically was what our management was saying. What we were all kind of thinking, like, okay, cool, now we'll go to a real producer. And so we get a budget for the EP, and we
Oh wow, so you produced that first album yourself?
that yeah that first record was, I'll tell that story because it's good, and then I'll come back to what I was about to say.
Yeah, because that's crazy. That has a lot of listens. That song did massive.
That first EP, that like for the We Are the WRECKS, was, I had that written, and the 2 other songs, Turn It Up and I Don't Like You, I had that written, and then sent the demo to the guys in the band who are now the Billy and Schmitz, who were 18 at the time, still living in Jersey, still trying to convince their parents, like, trying to like, yeah, maybe I'll go to college, maybe not. Like, they're like little kids. And I sent them those demos, asked them if they wanted to be in the band, because I'd met them through like just writing for other bands and stuff. But I asked them if they wanted to be in the band. They were like, sure. And they drive across the country, and we're in a house together for the first time for like 3 days, maybe. We've known each other really in person for like 3 days. And we get a Facebook message from a mutual friend who, like, in LA, who was house sitting for some guy, and she knew we like were doing music, like, and you know, she knew we like recorded demos and stuff in our like room and stuff. But she's like, hey, I'm house sitting for this guy, and he's got a studio in the backyard, like he's got like a home studio. If you guys wanted to like check it out. And we were like, cool, like, and she was just like, I don't know, house sitting for this guy. So I went over myself, I think. And I was like, I'll just go check it out, guys. I'll let you know, like, if it's cool, maybe we can, like, maybe there's, like, we could just record, like, a demo there or something. And I go over expecting, like, a home studio. Because at the time, it was just us with laptops. Like, we didn't have really a setup. I go in there, and it's a studio. It's, like, a full backyard studio with a drum room and this giant desk and all of these things that we could never dream of. I've never even been in a studio up until that point that had anything like any of that. So I was like, I called it, guys, and I was like, guys, you have to come over now. And so an hour later, we're cutting drums for Favorite Liar.
Wow.
Because our roommate, Andrew, who's still our live sound guy today, 10 years later, he was 9 years later. I didn't want to date myself that hard. He had just worked on a record as an assistant for this producer. So he just kind of learned how to operate a studio in that way. Like, he had just figured this stuff out. 3 months before this, none of this would have happened. So an hour later, we're cutting drums for Favorite Liar, and, you know, we're patched in. I'm looking around. I'm like, what is happening? Like, we're in the studio. Billy's in the drum room. I'm using a talkback mic that I just learned the word of like 20 minutes before that. This is the talkback. Cool. And I'm giving him drum notes. I've never recorded drums in my life. I've MIDI drummed and programmed everything always. And we basically were like, I'm looking around, I'm like, how long do you have this? Like, how long are you house sitting? And she goes, well, for like a week, but like, I'm not going to be here these days. And, you know, you can't come here during the day because the ex-wife of the owner of the house comes by to give the diabetic cat its shots.
Naturally.
So we could only go from like 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. And we had like 3 days to do it. And so that's what we did. We would like sleep in, get up at like whatever, and then go over there at 5 p.m. and just start cutting guitars and like making choices right away because we didn't have time to second guess anything. We just kind of dialed into, you know, whatever gear this guy had, whatever drums he already had set up. And so the third day, we're cruising along. We did 3 songs. We did a 4th song that no one's heard, but maybe that'll be a secret on the 10-year anniversary, like, vinyl release or something, because it's never been pressed to vinyl. But we recorded all these songs, and then the last day, we've done everything except for vocals, essentially. And we're, like, putting the last little finishing touches, and we get a call from the girl who let us in. And she basically, at this point, that was a detail I missed. She was leaving the key under the mat. And was basically like, just take the key, be out of there by, you know, 10 a.m. And so the third night we're there, we'd only been there for like a few hours, and she calls. She's like, "You guys got to get the hell out of there.
Oh,
The ex-wife
no.
is on her way to the house right now, and you can't be there." And we're just like freaking out. We're packing up all our stuff. There's like Domino's boxes and wine glasses everywhere. So we're just like gathering all of our stuff, and we get out of there. And I swear to God, like a movie, dude. We pack into the car, we pull out of the driveway, and we go. There's like it's like right on the corner of another street. So like we pull out of the driveway, and then we pull around that corner. As we pull around that corner, we see her down and pull in.
Wow.
And we were just like, we get into the house, and we're like, whoa, we did it. And then Andrew, who was engineering the record, our roommate, and he goes, guys, I didn't have time to dump the files from the studio computer to a hard drive. Like, we don't have it. It's all still there. And this was the last day. We didn't have access to this place anymore. And we were dumb enough to be working off the studio computer. We didn't know any better. And so we're just like, I honestly, if I think about it hard enough, I don't think there was a moment we were like bummed. I think maybe a split second, but Andrew and I are both of the like, we're cut from the cloth of like, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get the
We
songs.
have to break in, right?
Yeah. So what happens is that night at like 2 a.m,
Oh my God.
and the wife is like staying there overnight at this point, because her car was there when he shows up. 2 a.m. He like a black ops mission or something. He like sneaks through the side gate. Keys still under the mat. Goes to the back. Ex-wife is home. And he like, it just keeps all the lights off, plugs in his hard drive. And I picture it in my head if I was there. This is how I see it. Like, it's just the glow of the computer screen while he watches it like transfer, and he's like blowing a vape cloud, like watching it like just load across the screen. I'm seeing the reflection in his eyeballs of like the, it's very cinematic in my head. And then he gets out of there, and he walks back. He comes back to the house and walks in, and he just hard drive in hand up in the air, just like we just cheer. We're like,
That's
couldn't believe it.
crazy.
And then for the next like month, we just were on YouTube tutorials, how to edit live drums, how to edit.
Oh, so you had everything
guitars.
recorded for the songs?
Yeah, except for vocals, which we just like borrowed our friend's microphone, and we
Right.
did those at home. But we had all of the like live recording, and because we didn't have any money. Like, we were doing medical studies and stuff. Like, there was no money.
Yeah, what does that mean? You guys like donated your body to science
Yeah,
to prepare for your
I
first
did,
album?
Schmiz and I both did medical studies where I like let it was at Glendale Hospital. But basically what you do is you go in and you let them like, I was in for 8 days. You can't leave the hospital, and you test unapproved medication, like one at a time. You don't do multiple in one test. That's insane. But they're clinical trials. It's how you get drugs like onto them, like, approved by the FDA. It was like, 8 days, 7 nights. You can't leave the hospital. And I did one for schizophrenia. And this was to fund the band. This was like, this was like to get the van, to get the trailer, to get the merch.
Did you get paid well for it?
Yeah.
How much? Can I ask?
For 8.
Like, I don't talk about my medical studies.
I'm not taboo about money at all. You could ask me any. But no, like for 8 days and 7 nights, it was like $5,600.
Wow.
Unreal.
And it's like promised not to be a guaranteed lasting effect on your body.
No, it's not promised anything. You have to say in the like introduction interview, like in the interview before you go through, you have to verbally say, "I'm aware that I could die from this." You have to say that to, like, you have to verbally acknowledge, this is on me. This is a choice I made.
We needed vocals, though.
And of course, I don't tell my parents about this until after, because don't want to worry anyone.
No, of course.
And in my head, I'm like, this is a normal thing to do. To me, it seemed like a cheat code. I was like, oh my God, what? I can get us merch in a trailer if I just go do. So it was a schizophrenia study. 8 a.m. the first day, because you stay over the night the first night. They take your blood. The next morning, you wake up, and it's 8 a.m. They give me like 2 pills or whatever. It's like a schizophrenia medication. I take it. The guy I'm rooming with takes his, and he goes,
You're not with Schmitty?
No, Schmiz took his
Schmiz.
own. Schmiz took his own whole, yeah. And I take the pills, and I hear the guy I'm rooming with go, tastes like sugar, like his. I'm like, placebo pills? I'm like, screw you, man. Because 2 hours later, I fall asleep. I'm like, it's a breeze. 2 hours later, I wake up, and my whole body is completely tensed. Like, my muscles are like my fists are completely tense. My toes are curling over so hard that my feet are cramping. And I can, like, I don't know how to explain this, but like, I can feel my tongue in my mouth. like I was so aware of my tongue suddenly, and the doctors were coming in, and I thought that they were like, I was like paranoid, like they were talking about me. Of course they were talking about me. I was having adverse reactions to the medication. Like, yeah, they were writing things down about me. Yeah, but in my head, I'm like, I think they're talking about you. Yeah, no shit, dude. There's 3 of them, and they all have clipboards with pens. I think they're talking about you. And so I was just like freaking out, and they're like, I'm trying to explain my symptoms, but I'm like,
but you feel fine.
I'm like talking like, nice. That's insane, dude. Well, this was good.
We can't go any higher than that.
I got it. Don't worry, I'll do it for you. Okay. Perfect. They were like trying to ask me questions about it, and I was like, I couldn't really talk because I was just like, I don't know, just all fucked up. And yeah, it was totally fine. Went away the next day, and then I just had 6 days of being really bored in the hospital. There was like a digital clock on the wall, that would count the seconds throughout the day. You know how long 5 seconds is?
Pretty long when you're on drugs.
Let's just give this 5 seconds. That sucks, dude.
Yeah.
That sucks. So you're just staring at it, just ticking. It just felt like I was in there for an eternity. The Wi-Fi was bad. I tried to watch all the Harry Potters. I did. I watched them all, but the internet kept skipping. It was horrible. But $5,600 worth it. Obviously.
And then what'd you end up buying with it?
The trailer, the merch.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it was like and then I did a second one, kind of combined those to buy like the van that we went on tour with, because we said yes to a tour with Nothing But Thieves before we had any of that stuff. It was just like we did a show with them at the Troubadour, and then after the show, Joe from Nothing But Thieves was like, "Hey, do you want to come on tour?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course we do." And we had nothing, so it was like medical study time, and then eventually bought our first van, Daisy, for like $3,000, and broke down multiple times. And
so after you released that first EP of 3 songs and it was wildly successful,
yeah,
did you kind of realize you can do this, and that's where the WRECKS really full force?
There was no realizing that we could do it, because it was always the plan, I guess. Like there's no everything up until like the tour we did in 2022, where we got to like sell out Webster Hall in New York. All of that was like, yeah, this is like what was supposed to happen kind of thing. It wasn't until that moment that I had this like kind of like depressive almost spiral of recalibrating, because I was like, I saw all of this up until this point. Like this was in the like not even vision. It's not even like a vision board or anything. It's just simply when I was growing up and I saw bands on YouTube, doing like tour vlogs, and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. And all of my favorite bands were a certain size. The biggest. I probably didn't listen to any band that could do more than 1,000 people in a room, and so that was what I envisioned when I had this dream, because I was into like scene music. And so then it happens for us, and suddenly I was like, I don't see anything more. Suddenly that thing that was like, it was so obvious what choices to make, or it was so clear that, yeah, this is where it's going. That was gone, and I was like, it's like getting to the end of the sidewalk, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't see 1,500 cap rooms. I don't see 2,000 cap rooms. I don't see, and that was really like, that was weird, and no one talks about that feeling. I don't know if that's a feeling that people have. Like, if I grew up listening to arena bands, we'd probably be on a trajectory that's arena band, because I think of those bands that are really big, and their heroes are the Bruce Springsteen, or their heroes are these giant acts, the Killers, and I didn't really get into that music until after I'd already like developed what my dreams were as a little kid, and so I didn't see it, and it took a long time of like putting myself, like, I don't know, it was really a depressing thing to like not see the thing anymore when you're like kind of manning the ship and you see it all. And it, I don't know, it was just weird. No band that I liked we did the rooms that all the bands I like did. And if they got bigger than that, I probably wasn't into them anymore. It wasn't for me anymore. It just seemed to be like, oh, that's kind of everyone else's band now. But when it was small and niche, it was like the people who liked it were in early, and like we all kind of got it, and I felt like I was surrounded by people who get it. And then once it gets into a larger band, the fans get more casual. I didn't feel so safe in the environment of like being understood by other people who get the things I get. So when it's not niche anymore, it doesn't feel safe. And then I just wasn't into it. At least this is what it was like as a teenager. And so it was really hard and weird to recalibrate. And eventually I did simply by, they talk about fake it till you make it, but for me, it's more like set up the pins. Like just set the pins up and, even if they're pins that you don't believe that you can, like, or maybe for me, I need to like, I've got this chip on my shoulder. I got to prove everyone wrong, or I got to like you thought I couldn't do it. So, that kind of thing. And so I think booking the large venues for this tour was kind of like a way of going, okay, if I'm not seeing it, then I got to see it. Like if I'm not seeing it in here, if I put it out there, then I got to hit that. I got to do that. And so that's what we did. And we booked much bigger rooms and doubled the size of the last tour, even though we hadn't put out an album in between. We hadn't toured in between. We hadn't supported anyone since the last headline tour. And we're watching the tour numbers, they've doubled. And so like with these rooms are selling out. Like the average size room on this tour is the biggest room we did last time. And it's working. And I think it's just like, I tell people sometimes that I'm really like other people that I'm really like artists or anyone that I'm really confident in. And I think that they can make things happen when they're not feeling like sure about what they're going to do. I'm like, you're going to wake up you tomorrow. You realize that? Like you're going to wake up tomorrow and you get to be you in this situation. Like all of the things that, you've accomplished and all like all the problems you've solved, all the adversity you've overcame. Like, wouldn't it suck if you woke up and you weren't you for all of these problems you're having or all of these issues you have to solve? Like, you have the superpower of being you when you wake up tomorrow, and I don't think you'd want to be anyone else. I don't think you'd want to put anyone else in that situation. And it's really hard to apply certain things like that to yourself. So through the practice of, applying maybe those views I have of other people to myself, I was able to recalibrate and be like, oh, wait, I can promote a tour, like I can start making content. I can finish this record in time to like focus more on the actual promotion of it and not just feel like everything's last second. Like I can get out of my own way. And that's kind of what happened with that recalibration process of feeling like, oh no, let me just set the pins up.
So is this the biggest tour now that you guys have ever headlined?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, by far.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm as excited as I know how to feel. I think I just say that that's just a sentence people say.
Right.
Yeah.
How is this tour going to be different from any other tour then? Because you're playing these bigger rooms. Obviously, you haven't toured in a minute, and you just put out an album, so now people are going to be more excited to see you.
Yeah.
Do you think that all adds to why it's selling out so well?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would have, if we put out this album months ago, it'd be a different story because people would have had that music to like actually listen to and kind of sit with, let it marinate. And then, that's an easier, and then the promotion of those songs, we'd be selling even more tickets. But this release
because those songs have been out longer.
Yeah. But we're releasing the record like 1 week out. I mean the tour we did for our album Sonder, we released that the day we left for the tour. So this isn't new to us,
This is a classic WRECKS.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because then the tickets really ramp up as the tour's going because people are hearing the record and it's being spread and stuff. And you see more and more people singing along as it goes. I think even just giving our fans a week of like leeway. We don't have a lot of casual fans. There's a lot of fans who like front to back are screaming every word to every song.
Your live shows are crazy.
Thank you.
Did you set out on a mission to do the live shows? Like that's like, you guys kill it at it.
The first show I ever really saw up close was 21 Pilots in 2012 in a bar in Buffalo. It was like I've told this story before, but like it was like a 100-cap room called Mohawk's Place. And it's literally a bar and the stage is as tall as this couch. And that felt like an arena. Like it was insane what it felt like to be in that crowd. And so then I was in a little band in high school. This is like my junior year of high school. And so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna that's what a show is. A show is like jumping over stuff, and a show is like getting the whole crowd interacting and jumping into the crowd, and that's what a show is. And so it wasn't, thank God my first show that I was inspired by wasn't like a really cool guy who was like at the mic and like just played his guitar and like sang his songs with his eyes closed and never said a word. Because if that was the case, then that would be our show. So yeah, it's just, that just made me so excited, and I've always been someone who always been like excitable in that way, and so I'm glad that was a show that I went to at that age.
How much of a risk was it for you guys to book bigger rooms?
Didn't feel like one. It never feels like a risk when you feel the only things that feel scary to me are things that I don't feel like that are out of my hands, and maybe that's like the whole thing with like not feeling comfortable having other people produce, or it's just this like DIY thing. And DIY, it starts from the lack of budget and not growing up with money or not growing up with resources, or growing in a small town where there is no one who knows how. You're the only kid in your school who knows what Photoshop is, and so there's like that DIY starts there, and then I think it graduates to like do it myself because I want to do it the way I want to do it, because I've been doing it this way. I've been doing it my way since the beginning. And so when it comes to like announcing a tour, it's like, yeah, but if it doesn't sell well, that's on me. And I'm not going to let that happen. Like, I'm going to do whatever I can to show up, because that's what it would be nerve-wracking and scary and risky if we announced it and I was thrown into a closet and they tied me up and they said, all right, we'll see you when the tour starts. It's like, until we walk out and, a 1,500 cap room has 50 kids in it, it's not a risk I feel really, I guess that's the thing about the excitement thing too. It's like, I'm too busy to be excited about it. Until I'm walking out on stage, I haven't even thought about the fact that I'm going out on stage. I'm worried about, I'm programming the lights, or yesterday all the guys were outside shirtless with a handsaw they bought at Home Depot building our like stage production. Like, we're doing it ourselves. That's all we know. And I would be nervous. It would feel like a risk if we were expecting some other company to do it a week before the tour starts, and we're waiting on backdrops from someone it's like, okay, there's no time to be worried if you're just doing it yourself, and you trust that you surround yourself with really just go-getters and people who are like excited to jump in. And that's what the band is like. It's been the same group of us since the beginning, and it's like so much of that is built on like that trust, and everyone's down for it, and everyone works really hard when called on. And it's like, yeah, so I don't know, it never felt like a risk, because again, we get to wake up and be who we are, and so we're gonna make that happen if we have to.
The Rex are like the core four. You guys have been in from the beginning.
Yes.
What is the chat like amongst you guys? Like, are we doing this till the end of time?
We've never even thought about it that way. I don't think that I don't know. It's something we've never addressed. I don't know if the other guys think, because, they all kind of work when we're not on tour and stuff. Like, Billy tours a lot as a drum tech. He's a successful drum tech. He does huge tours, and Schmiz has been tour managing for other bands. And he's been to Europe. He toured with a band in Europe, working for them before we've even been to Europe, And Aaron's worked on the hospitality side of the industry, and then I work as a songwriter producer a lot. And so we already do have lives outside of the band that are in the industry that like we're able to make our income with when the band isn't active. And thank God for that too, with the guys willing to get out there and do that while I'm struggling with my mental health, trying to figure out what the record is for 2 years. And not once was one of them like, hey man, how are the songs coming along? Are we good? Not a single, even from the label, like no one in my life put the pressure on to like finish it. Or like putting the deadline in front of the art, like that never happened with the music, which happens a lot in the industry. Is like getting the music video, it's better to get it done than get the right version of it. Like, it's better to hit the deadline than get the right version. I'm always throwing a wrench in the machine. I'm like, no, we need this edit has to happen. I'm sorry if we have to push it, we got to push it. But with the music, that never happened. And I know that's kind of a tangent, but that's something I'm really appreciative of everyone in my life, that they let me figure it out. And it took a long time to figure it out. Yeah.
You brought up the record label. How do you, in today's age, get signed to a record label without being screwed? How does it work in your favor as an artist?
You don't, really.
What do you mean?
You can sign certain deals that are like maybe a 50-50 deal, where like the label gets 50% of the master, which is like the recording itself.
Where if it gets placed in a movie, they get 50% of that?
If it gets there's two sides. There's the master side and there's the publishing side. And the master side is the majority of, like, if you buy it on iTunes, which doesn't happen anymore, but if you bought it on iTunes for $1, like about 90% of that is the master side. And then the other 10%, it's 9.1%, goes to the songwriters on the song, and it's split amongst them. So 90 cents goes to the people who own the master, which in a 50-50 deal is 45 cents to the band, 45 cents to the label, and then that 10 cents goes amongst the songwriters.
But that doesn't exist anymore because people don't buy on iTunes.
It exists, right? The iTunes part doesn't exist, but that's the same thing with streams. So like a dollar of streams gets split that way. But a 50-50 deal is rare to, like, that's a deal that you see a lot with, like, distribution companies or licensing companies or with indie labels. Like, we had a deal like that was awesome. It worked really well. The deal we're in right now, it's one of those, it's a major label, like, nonsense deal. What comes with that is pretty gnarly. Like, the vast resources and team that we've been able to work with, and, like, there's always someone to help. Like, there's a lot of like, I'm not an advocate for, like, bands or artists signing major label deals necessarily. And everyone's come up and journey is different, but in this moment, in this moment of time for our band and where I saw our trajectory, I was like, this is kind of the moment where we do it. And we sign, we get a larger advance than we normally would get, or we put ourselves in a position to where I can spend a little while working on the record and being like, I don't know, usually you think with the major label, like, they're not even paying attention to you. They got other stuff going on. It's like, it's not like an indie label. They're like, come on, I don't know. That's probably not everyone's experience. But for me, it was like, we can kind of fly under the radar until we need to pull the lever on stuff. And so far, it's been really great, just as far as, like, the help we've received from Lava, who we signed to, who's under Republic. But it's the deal, the actual, like, deal points are not great, but I've never made a dime off of the deal looking good. Like, my income is strictly on publishing for the songs I've written for the band and all the songs I've written for other people. That's basically all of my income. Once in a while we'll see an advance come through that we can divvy up a little bit, like $1,000 or so, or $1,500 every, like, few months or something. Or no, like every, like, longer than that, like 5 or 6 months, we'll get like a, but most of it goes toward the bills for the band.
Like studio space.
Well, I record everything in my house, but there's, like, insurance on our van. There's insurance on our trailer. There's, like, we pay out commissions, but as far as bills, it's like, there's just a slew of, like, operating costs when it comes to being in a band, and being able to put money forward to make certain things happen that the label's not approving. I didn't get approval on basically this whole thing for Inside that I was working on, where I wanted to build, all my roommates moved out, and I wanted to build my whole house. I had they didn't all move out at once. This sounds actually insane. I live in a 4-bedroom house that I rent, and over the course of, like, a few months, they were all on month to month, and I looked around and the house was empty. I was like, okay, I could go looking for roommates, or I could, like, how often do I have a whole house to, like, do my arts and crafts in? Because I'm always, like, building sets in my house. And so I decided my idea was to turn the whole house into the environment for the world building that was going on around the record, which is, like, the idea of being so isolated that foliage starts to grow in the cracks of the walls. Like, it's so lived in and so neglected outside that outside is trying to come in. Like, Mother Nature's kind of like, you good, bud? Like, and almost like pumping in bird sounds through a speaker in the wall, like almost things like that, like trying to like, get like taking vitamin D supplements instead of going outside in California, things like that. And that's just kind of how I was living. And so I didn't get approval on that whole idea. The only way that I could get approval was by like saying, oh, could we do a music, like we could do a music video. And suddenly they're like, oh yeah, there's a purpose. I didn't necessarily have like a content specific idea. It was just like, if I build this house out, every day is a new idea. Every day I could just make stuff in here. And they just weren't, even for the music video, like they wanted to spend so much more on the actual like production company than they did the set building. They were like, cool, we'll give you like $500 for the production, like the set design. I'm like, the WRECKS MO is like low budget, high effort. The idea of spending all of the money on the production of it, of the like camera and of the team, and not on the like arts and crafts and the small details and the building of it, is so antithetical to like everything that I like, everything that I want to see, everything I want to make.
Because that's what you're so good at, is building that world.
It's fun. Like that's the exciting part. That's where I'm like so excited to like fucking put plants in the wall. Like,
it's like, what era of the WRECKS are we in now?
Yeah, right.
That's really what it is.
That's what's fun. And when I see like something that clearly took 2 seconds to come up with and shoot, and all of the effort is in the post-production or the like, it turns me off. I'm really into like, I can see the effort on the screen. And so no one was understanding this idea. And I'm like, yeah, I could, all the content that you're asking for, I can film in these environments, and it wouldn't feel like I'm filming, inauthentic content. It would feel like at least I'm being authentic with the world building of it. And so I also was hoping like, oh, maybe they'll also like offset some of the rent for the house. Cause like it's an insane amount of money, a 4-bedroom house in California. Like everything sucks right now. The idea of spending 4 times your rent. And I was like, it was like a Thursday, and they were like, yeah, on Monday we'll talk about, the music video is supposed to be like the week after that, or like it's supposed to be Friday the next week, so just 8 days out. And I'm like, and they're like, yeah, on Monday we can discuss the budget, because I had said like $500 is not, no, I need to like go to Michael's and take their entire spring collection of like plants. Like, I don't think you understand. And they're like, yeah, I mean, we'll come back to this, which is corporate speak for no,
right,
we're not going to do that. And so I just took my Chase debit card, went to Michael's and ran the card. And then when that was gone, I ran the band's Amex card and spent, a couple $1,000s on plants. And then started building, and went to Home Depot, just started building the house out and putting all my furniture outside. Then it rains, so like I got to get a new coffee table and a new entertainment center, a new couch. It's all good. And so I'm just like building this thing out and just not telling anyone, because I'm like, I can't. It's pedal to the floor. I don't have time to like. I'm not gonna do a half-assed version of this. A $500 version of it is not gonna be the idea. I'd rather come up with a different idea for $500. I can be really creative with $500, but I can't do this bigger idea for that much. I would rather come up with something else that is done well for that amount. And so yeah, just kind of built it. And then the rent part, I'm just completely let it like hemorrhage my bank account, essentially, because no one was coming to save the day. But I care more about making the thing than I do about the consequences of that, I guess. It feels like medical study days all over again, I'd rather put the thing I'm trying to make happen in front of like my health, my like financial stability or situation. And so yeah, and now I don't know, we're like a week and a half out from tour, and I haven't looked for roommates, and my house looks like a fucking terrarium. So
your house is gonna be empty for those?
I'm gonna do whatever I can to be like, hey, does anyone want to move in real quick before I leave? Because I simply can't afford another month.
So then, are you gonna get the rent back or anything from the lip? Oh,
no
wow.
No shot. Especially after it's over. They don't want to spend money they didn't have to. They got away with not spending.
Right.
I could probably ask for like $2,000 toward it, but it's like $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
So over the course of, this started in January. It's now April. My bank account's empty.
Right.
Like that was like money I'd saved up, but it was like, but we shot a ton of stuff, and they'll pay like for the person to come film that day. But in their heads, it's like, well, we could rent a pier space for a day. Why would we spend all this money on this place for a month. I'm like, because I'm filming every day, content on my phone, content like with my own camera, with my little, every day I'm making something.
Have record labels adjusted to how important social media is and content is?
No, they will pay. I've gotten my friends paid so many times. I don't get paid for any of it. But I can get my friends paid. Like they won't.
Like videographers and.
Yeah. They don't want to. They don't want to buy. They don't want to pay the artist to create the content. But if I ask my buddy to come over and shoot, I can put him on. I put my friend on retainer for like 5 months. I was making 95% of that content, but it was really helpful to, be able to hit him up and be like, hey, I need literally 2 hands or like 4 hands today. But like they're quick to, if I'm like, hey, I've got this idea for this thing. The budget is, let's say $1,500. The budget for this, like 3 weeks of content, it's 50. They'd be like, I don't know. But if I say, hey, I've got this guy who will come film for $1,500 for 3 weeks, they'd be like, awesome, can't wait.
Right.
So they don't want to. It's all so arbitrary and fake, and the approvals. It's just no one wants to be in trouble for saying yes to stuff, which I get.
Right.
It's just kind of like if it comes back on them, they don't want to be accountable. So
you gave him money for an idea. Where was the videographer?
Yeah. It's like if I video it myself, yeah, it's you can rent. They won't want to give you money for like using your, like, they wouldn't pay me to produce any, like they don't want to pay me to produce the record. It's like a current ongoing fight just to literally get a fee for producing the record because I'm in the band, and the band gets an advance. I'm like, you think that money's going to me? The advance money from the record doesn't go to me. That goes to like, we get like a tiny bit that we split, but like the other guys are working on tours and doing things while I'm working on the record for months, using my like all of these things where I'm not able to work on other records, but they don't want to pay me because I'm in the band. But I'm like, yeah, but that's a different business. These are different businesses that are doing this. But if it was a different producer, if I said my name was a different name and I had a different tax number, they would pay me in a heartbeat. And it's just that if I wanted to make the content, if I make the content myself, I won't get paid. But if I say my buddy's coming over, money gets exchanged, not to me. And then if you want to go, okay, well then you can just split it with your buddy, but then you have tax issues because their income is getting taxed. So they at the end of the year, like that's not really fair to your friend to like, be the fake, like get the money and then give you a portion of it. It just doesn't really level out. And so it's just a mess. It's just like, yeah, no, they have not adjusted to it. There's no, it's just a game. And the game is, I work really hard every day and don't get paid for it. But I'm really happy with what's going on. Like, I'm really stoked because I am just making stuff and I'm not motivated by money. If I was, I'd be much better off, but I don't know. It's not part of it. The money part comes like after just caring so much about the thing,
Right. Can we talk about the thing?
Yeah. The thing. Yeah.
So like when we see this physical album that comes out tonight, what comes to mind? I know you talked about it online.
Yes.
That you guys are in the vinyl.
Yeah, it's funny because that was like, I mean, it just worked out. I didn't even know picture discs were a thing when we took the photos.
Yeah, how does it even have the grooves in it?
I guess, I don't know. But they've been doing this since like the 40s or something. 30s.
Of pictures? Oh, that's wild.
I thought it was a new thing. And then I like Googled it. I was gonna like make a caption about like it being a new thing, but then I realized, oh no, this is like 100 years old.
Damn, Elvis did it too.
Yeah, like, but I don't know why it's not a more popular, thing. No, when I think about the record, I think about like the theme of it and some of the honesty of it, and being excited for people to kind of like sit with the lyrics and I don't know. Again, I don't know if excited is the right word, but nervous isn't the right word either. I think it's a feeling of that's the point. Like the point of it was to get this thing out, and I was so proud of like finishing it and listening to it and it being what I was trying to do. And now I guess the only part I'm thinking about is the idea that people are going to sit with the lyrics and the right people who are into it, almost the right people who are like into it are going to really connect with it. And it's funny. I don't know if I should make this point, but I really want to. a lot of the record, and our first single, Always Every Time, off this record, and a lot of the themes in it, like I Didn't Used To and Why Can't I Just Be Happy, and well, really kind of all of it centers around neurodivergence and like coming to terms with like your learning new things about yourself and like that self-realization and how bumpy of a process that is and how unsure of a process that is. And when I was doing the press for Always Every Time, there was a moment where I was kind of like, I wanted to talk about the process of what it means to like look into an autism diagnosis and what it means to like talk to your psychiatrist about it, and that assessment process and the shame around like feeling like, you know, I'm not autistic enough to say that, or there's a test that costs a lot of money that I can't afford to take, that at least my brain would see it on paper and I would feel more confident because like, no, look, it's on paper, versus a psychiatrist just telling you, no, yeah, you like that's your level 1, but the test, I would be able to go, no, look, the government recognizes it. And until then it didn't. I was holding a lot of shame around that. And the part that sucks is when I was doing press around Always Every Time, the label wanted me to do some media training. And in that media training, they basically told me like, don't mention autism and don't bring up, like, let's be really careful about how we word what we're talking about with neurodivergence. And I do understand the sensitivity around it, but all I know how to do is talk about what it's about learning about it. It's about like coming to terms with it or being unsure about it. It's about the shame around it. It's about the skill regression and the like, it's about that. And then they just kind of like, and so I didn't mention it or talk about the record from that angle since then, because I felt I was already carrying so much shame around, like, I mean, I carry a lot of shame in general, but a lot of shame around like not maybe saying or understanding everything perfectly, because I'm still, you know, maybe looking into it and
figuring it out.
Yeah, and even when you hear, you know, and so when I tell them like, well, you know, I was diagnosed by my psychiatrist. I was diagnosed twice by a therapist and a psychiatrist, and it was like, they're like, okay, well, you know, let's watch our wording, and you know, maybe we can get a grant to get you a test, or maybe the label will pay for you to get tested. I'm like, right, but I pay for a psychiatrist and I pay for a therapist, and they both said this. And that same shame that I was inventing for myself around like, oh, but if it's not like that really expensive test and it's not on paper, then I might not be allowed to say that out loud. That suddenly was real, because they were going,
don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it unless we've got it on paper. We don't like they're afraid to get in trouble or something. And it totally shattered my like that confidence that I had built finally, which helped me finish the record, because for 2 years I was just like feeling like I don't know how I work anymore. I don't know how to do the things I used to do. I don't know how to be personable anymore. I don't know how to talk to people the way I used to. I don't feel confident when I walk in a room. I don't think I explained things in a way that makes sense anymore. And I wasn't explaining things in a way that made sense, because I was learning to communicate in a way that I'd never communicated. I was feeling coming into the realization of like, oh, this is how I'm perceived, and I didn't know. And also, oh, wait, I can communicate these thoughts and unmask entirely, and my relationships get better because I'm just saying the damn thing. And that was so scary and weird, and I was terrible at it, and all my friends just thought I was manic and insane or something. And then it was like practice. Unfortunately, every conversation became like a marathon of self-realization, where it's like every other sentence I'm like realizing something about myself, or I'm making a point or a new analogy, and I'm learning about myself in every conversation. That became exhausting. And so the idea of like, losing my confidence over like being overexhausting to people, and then finally having the tools to recognize when that's happening, I was like, okay, I'm not going to go out and have those interactions anymore because I feel like crap when I do. It's like I get like post-yap clarity and I feel horrible. And so a lot of inside was like, I'm just going to, if I go outside, that means more interactions. That means more of this exhaustive self-realization. I'm sick of learning about myself. I'm sick of learning all these new tools. I'm just going to shut in for a while. And a lot of inside was around that because it was just so exhausting to exist with these new tools that I thought were awesome, but they just made everything harder. And then you go over the hill, and then things start to get not easy, but like smooth and interesting. And my songwriting sessions got better and like more interesting, and my relationships and my friends, like everything just got more honest, immediate. The look on people's faces changed. People opened up more about their own situations, and suddenly I was like, this confidence was like, I mean, dates were going really, like everything was just like, oh, I feel like I can really express myself and talk in a way that is refreshing for me, because it feels like I'm finally talking about the thing I want to talk about, and not the like small talk version of it or the surface level version of it that seems correct or seems socially applicable or whatever. It's just like interrupting someone to be like, what did you mean by that? You know, like no, just like the way you said it, like, did you mean this or that? And then they explain, I'm like, cool. And then they feel super understood because you care about the way they said it, you know, things like that. And then I had that media training thing, and I had this confidence, and then they're kind of like, and it was a confidence I'd also developed in like talking about the details of what starts as a self-diagnosis and then what becomes talking to professional, like mental health professionals, getting some validation, and then going, well, I can't afford to like pay a few $1,000s to just so the government can tell me I'm level 1 autistic. And so and then there's like shame online where people's like, everyone's autistic these days. There's just so much chatter. And then I have that meeting and I'm just like, wow, I'm just not going to talk about it then, because there's so much shame from so many different angles that I was already feeling. And now they were being manifested in real time in front of me. And so I stopped and it's a bummer too, because all the press around the record, I didn't feel confident or comfortable with sharing this part, which thank you for, you know, being you, where you're like, I feel like I can just, you're very friendly.
I appreciate you opening up, because hearing you talk about all of this after I've listened to the album, honestly, in full probably 3 times, but Amazing. I've listened to, I don't know, 50 times.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
But lyrically, like you talk about certain types of drugs and stuff that I don't know, but my wife is like, oh, I know that one. And to hear what you were going through, and lyrically and musically, I've been a fan of you since 2016.
Amazing.
So to hear the progression of where you started to where you are now really sounds like your writing, your song, your lyric writing, everything really transformed into something really special for this album. And I think when it comes out, people are really going to see that, because it's a whole new side of your songwriting.
It is. It usually is about relationships, and this time it's like
deep, really deep stuff that makes me think.
It's about me. yeah. And I'm sorry for like I feel like I've talked a lot, and I understand it's a podcast and I'm the guest and I'm supposed to, but I apologize. I really do feel like I've talked so much. This is just the first medium I think that I've been able to about, you know, even the past stories, but like it's been a while since I got to talk about those. But also this stuff, it just feels like. I think it's what it is a reaction to the idea that I haven't been able to be fully like transparent about it, and that's so important to me lyrically and in my life. So this is like, this podcast has been a reaction of like, I'm just gonna say it all. I'm getting it all off my chest, you know? Like, but yeah, so much of the record is just about, it's about that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It's about like, I don't know. And being honest with listen, I don't know and you don't know, and that's okay. We don't all know all the things about everything all the time. And in fact, not knowing rules. Not knowing means you get to find out. Like, being wrong is awesome, because then you're not wrong. You're wrong, and then someone corrects it, and then you're not wrong anymore. that rules, man. So like that's I don't know. I think that it's funny. I don't know. I think is the sleeper hit on the record.
Yeah.
I think it's like at least for live. I think it's gonna be one of my favorite songs of ours live.
I mean, I love Sonder. Freaking Out is great. I love this part. That is like goat song. Yes. It's just so dark, ominous, and then when the chorus hits,
totally. That song was like a breakthrough for that record for sure.
But that falls in the same category. I don't know, for like those songs when I'm like, I want to hear the Rex. Like I want to hear that.
Interesting. Yeah, because I think that we're kind of all over the place. I think that I have a confidence to like change all the different genres because I'm still the one producing it. So there's gonna be some thread that I'm unaware of, some intangible like silver cord that connects everything to each other and to like the nerve or like whatever. So I can be like, oh, I'm going to make this one sound poppier. I'm going to make this one sound harder. I'm going to make this one more pop punk, or this one's going to be super indie. This is going to be a Pixies thing. And it all kind of works because you're not having those ideas and going to different producers to do them all.
Right.
But I think some artists do that. I just keep doing it. So even if I think, oh, yeah, we're bending genres, it's like, well, come on.
It still comes from you.
Yeah, it's like, it's still, there's still a thread, which is fun. Yeah, I get to be all ADHD about it.
What do you feel like when you're about to go out on stage? Like, do you get jitters now at this point in your career?
No, I get a little vodka Red Bull in me. We like our vodka Red Bulls, and then I just no, it's just exciting. It's just so fun. Like that's where it's exciting, is when I'm physically stepping out. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like we do. You can feel the ramp of excitement like 15 minutes before you go out. We do a little pre-show mantra. We've got like a chant that we do, and the green room clears. Some friends and family are hanging around. They can feel it. They're feeling on the phones. They're laughing. We're being goofballs. And it's just that part's so fun. And then we always start our show. I have like a rule for like opening songs for sets. It can't be a new single. I can't stand when a band comes out and they play a new single. It's like, you're so excited to see the band, then they come out and it's like, I heard this one, but I don't really know.
I don't know it yet. I don't know yet.
Or you don't know it at all. And so it's got to be, I think, an energetic song, and it has to be a song that like the first verse is one that everyone can be screaming the lyrics to. Like it's a very lyrical one that people happen to yell every time we play it, because then the whole crowd feels this community, feels this camaraderie. Like, there's a word for it. I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like, I might be effervescence, but that might be a completely different thing.
I was going to say that too.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Sure. But there's a word for like, everyone feeling like, oh, wow, we're all singing along to this thing. It lifts. It feels like you're levitating like an inch off the ground. And so to start a show that way, it's why our pre-show playlist has like a ton of sing-alongs on it, because if you're singing along, oh yeah, I guess they're singing too. Like then you're suddenly all together and you're more willing to embarrass yourself a little or like go for it. And so yeah, we start our set with like, we haven't picked for this tour yet, but
that's the set list. You haven't done it?
No, we haven't. Well, we're working on it still, but the first song is gonna set the tone for it, and we have to figure that out probably today. But that's like as far as like the show starting. If you start a show like that with the right song that like everyone's screaming every word, and I can decide whether I stay on the mic or the whole time some shows I don't sing for like a minute into the show because the mic's just turned out and I'm just walking around like taking it in while they're all screaming. That's awesome. So yeah, I like to know that that's what you're walking out to every night is like, you just got to set the pins up right, and it can be a great time every time,
Well, this has been so cool talking to you.
Yeah, dude, sorry that I did all of the talking.
No, I loved it.
Sorry for your viewers.
Inside Out everywhere now.
Inside is out everywhere now.
So is this album just Inside, out?
Yeah, it's like a puzzle.
So this is just Inside.
Yeah. This is just Inside,
comma, is out now.
Yeah. Well, it's a semicolon, or it's a colon. I'm just kidding. You were just doing sentence structure, but it is a colon. I'm gonna stop. Is this still on? Is that what
it's getting hot here, huh?
Inside colon is out everywhere.
And the Rex are on tour. Go see them.
On the Inside Outside tour.
Go see them.
Which, makes me wonder, does that mean that the record called Outside is coming after?
Yeah, do you want to leak a release date?
No, because it's not even recorded yet.
Okay. So, like a year, maybe?
No.
sooner?
Oh, and I'm gonna get right to it.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, because I already wrote the songs. That's the part that takes the longest, is figuring out that part.
Right.
Yeah, we can record it right away.
You're gonna produce it too?
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. And if I don't, something really badly went wrong, and I shouldn't do it. If I'm not producing it, that means that like I lost all my confidence on the tour, and I was like, someone else do it. This didn't work. So if that happens, man, our fans won't like it. I won't like it. So maybe check in on me. If you see a producer credit, you're like, hey, bud, you good?
Like I said to DM, everything okay?
Yeah. If you see us posting like studio updates and some other guys in the chair, just hit me up. Just be like, just check in.
Guy there.
I might just need to be pulled out of a hole or something.
Well, thanks for coming by.
Dude, thank you, man. And hey, keep going on the other chat.